Hello and welcome to this introduction to DocsPlus. My name is Gemma. I'm a customer experience consultant at Crick Software. So I support our existing customers in using DocsPlus effectively, and I also create and manage the training resources that are available on our website. This webinar will last for about 30 minutes, and during that time we'll look at the key features available in DocsPlus. So we'll be looking at the supportive word processor. We'll look at learning grids, where you can access the free pre-made resources to use in DocsPlus. We'll look at writing support with word bars, planning for writing with workspaces, and finally we'll look at the doc reader. For those of you who perhaps aren't too familiar with Crick Software, the company, we've been around since 1993, and the company was originally created by John and Anne Crick, who were both working as teachers at the time. And John in particular was working in a special school with children with cerebral palsy. So that's where the kind of initial idea for our software came from, starting with Clicker and more recently DocsPlus. So we continue to create our products and support schools in using them effectively so that all students have the right tools to achieve their full potential. Okay, let's dive into DocsPlus. So as soon as you open DocsPlus on your PC, you'll see the Quick Start menu. From here, we can create a new document and access the word processor. We can create new Smart Tab resources. We can access recent DocsPlus files in the Recent Files list on the left-hand side. And we can access the training resources that are available on our website. So we're going to start off by having a look at the supportive word processor. So we'll create a new document. So when we open a new document, you can see DocsPlus looks very much like any other word processor. We have access to a new document icon, save and print, but we also have these support tools which are a little bit different, and that's what we'll start by looking at today. So the first thing I'm going to do is type a sentence into DocsPlus. So my name is Rachel. Today I am writing about migration. So I'll put in the punctuation to end my sentence.
My name is Rachel. Today I am writing about migration.
And DocsPlus reads my sentence back for me, and it's reading it back in a female voice with a British accent. So my name is still Gemma. Rachel is the name of the voice that I'm choosing. And we can choose between our female voice, Rachel, and our male voice, Graham. To swap between the voices, click the arrow next to the speaker icon in the document's ribbon. As the text is being read back, it's being highlighted in red, so this helps with reading fluency, and it also helps students to make the connection between what they see and what they hear, particularly useful for reinforcing new vocabulary. So the speech feedback is the first of our support tools. The next tool we're going to have a look at is called Voice Notes. So Voice Notes is ideal for students who can tell you their ideas, but then struggle to get them written down on paper. So to use Voice Notes, we need to go to this microphone icon in the document ribbon, and this opens up our sound recorder. So here we can record what we want to write about. So I'll just create a quick example. Migration is the movement of people. So I click the red button to start my recording and clicked it again to end the recording. I can listen to that back straight away by clicking play. I can record over it if I've changed my mind about what I want to write about. Or if I'm happy with my recording and the content of what I'm working on, I can click done. So when I click done, my voice note and my recording move and they sit over here to the left of my document in this red speech bubble. I can then click the speech bubble whenever I want to hear my recording played back. Migration is the movement of people. Okay, so that was a fairly short example recording, but we can fit up to a minute into each voice note, and we can have up to 6 voice notes in a document. So from the student's perspective, we can record a lot of our content, what we want to write about. We might want to record in some individual sentences. We might want to record in an overview of a paragraph or a section of what we're working on. We might just want to record in some key words that we want to make sure to use. As a teacher or a TA, if we're supporting perhaps a student who struggles with sequencing, we might want to record in the task that they need to complete, or we may want to chunk tasks into smaller sections. Students can then be more independent in completing their work by listening to the voice notes as a reminder of what they need to be doing. We can also use them as a form of verbal feedback for students who struggle to access written feedback. So I'm going to type my sentence from my voice note in now, and we'll make some spelling mistakes. So migration is the movement of people. Okay, and again, I'll put in my punctuation to end my sentence.
Migration is the movement of people.
And DocsPlus will attempt to read whatever we've typed in. So if we have made misspellings, then DocsPlus will attempt to read those out using what it knows of phonics, which means that quite often we can hear where we've gone wrong. As we would in any other word processor now, I can right-click the first of my misspellings, and this opens up a list of suggestions for words that I might want to use to fix my misspelling. Now, if I'm a student, I'm not very confident with my writing, I don't really know which of these options I should be using to make my correction, chances are I'm going to select whatever's at the top of the list, and in this case, that wouldn't be the correct word. So it's an additional level of support in DocsPlus, and to encourage students to think a bit more critically about how they are fixing their writing, we can right-click the suggestions.
Government. Movement.
Which allows us to hear the words that are being suggested, and when we hear the word that we want to use,
movement,
we can click it to make the correction in our document. So that's one way of using DocsPlus for spell check. Another way is to click this ABC icon in the Documents ribbon. So this opens up this nice floating grid, and it offers us suggestions for fixing our misspelling. Again, we can right-click to hear the suggestions read out.
People.
And left-click to add them into the document. The advantage of this version of the spell check is that it's a larger target for students with physical or visual impairments. And it also goes through every mistake in the document, so no mistakes will be missed.
Migration is the movement of people.
When we make a correction, DocsPlus reads our sentence back for us, so we can listen and confirm that it is the right option for correcting our misspelling. So that's our speech feedback and the spell check and voice notes as well. So the last of the support tools that's available in the word processor is the Predictor. So to turn on the Predictor, we click this icon here in the Documents ribbon. And this opens up a list of suggestions. So it looks very similar to the spell check, but we're not correcting any misspellings, and it's offering us some words that we might want to use to start our sentence. So this is a really helpful tool for students who struggle with blank page syndrome, and it can really help with writing fluency and spelling support. So my first word is there, and when I add that into the document, the Predictor is now offering me words that I might want to use that follow there. As I continue my writing, you can see it's suggesting words for me to use. If I misspell a word, so I'm having a go at spelling factors, and I haven't quite got it right, the Predictor is still offering me suggestions for words that I might be trying to spell. So there is a phonetic element to the Predictor as well. I can still listen to the words suggested by the Predictor in the same way I did with my spell check by right-clicking.
Factors.
And when I'm confident that that is the word that I want to use, I can click it to use it in my document.
There are many factors that affect migration.
Okay, so I've managed to produce some writing now, and if I'm a typical student, I might be doing some research on the internet and find a really nice phrase and copy and paste that into my work. So we'll do that now. So we've made a really good start on our piece of writing now. But if we've been working independently, as the teacher, I might want to know how we got to this point. Are there any common misspellings that are coming up? How much have they relied on the Predictor? Have they been copying and pasting text in from an external source? So what I can do now is go to Analytics up at the top of the screen, and straight away I can see in this review donut how many words have come from the keyboard, how many words have come from the predictor, the spell check, and how many words have been pasted in. In the document, the words have been color-coded, so words in black have been typed, words in red have come from the spell check, words in purple have come from the predictor, and words in grey have been pasted in. So straight away, we can see a lot of information on how the student has approached this piece of writing. We can then see even more information with these tabs over here. So in keyboard, I can see a list of all the words that have been typed into the document. In predictor, I can see the words that were selected from the predictor, the letters that were typed before the word was selected, and I can see that I listened to one of those words. I can see similar information in the spell check tab with the original spelling of the word listed here, and I can see that I listened to both of those. In pasted, I can see the text that has been pasted into the document. And we have a word bars tab, which we'll come back to a little later on. Over here in the Analytics ribbon in Statistics, we can see statistical information on the document. So we can see the number of words, sentences, and paragraphs that make up this piece of writing. And we can also see the average sentence length. In Teacher Notes, we can add in any other relevant information. So this might be resources that the student used to complete their work. This might be whether they had the support of an LSA or a TA. It might be questions that they asked or information that they volunteered. Any other relevant information can be added in here. And the great thing about analytics is that you don't need to tell DocsPlus to do this. It's automatically keeping track of this information for you. So long as you save the document, the analytics information will be saved alongside it. You can then either print analytics information alongside the document, or you can print it separately. So we now know that this text here has been pasted in, and we might want to leave some feedback for the student so that they know perhaps that they should put this into their own words. So I'm going to highlight where we want to leave feedback and click this comments icon up here at the top of the screen in the documents ribbon. So this allows us to add a comment. So I'm going to add in, put this in your own words. Okay. And we can color code our feedback as well. So it may be that we want certain colors for different kinds of feedback. I'm going to change mine to a purple for today and click OK. And you can now see that where I have left the comment, it's been highlighted in purple. To see the feedback, I can hover my cursor over the highlighted text and a speech bubble appears with my feedback. If a student needs support accessing that feedback, they can click the speaker icon here.
Put this in your own words.
To hear the feedback read out for them. So these are the default settings for the support tools in the word processor, but we can change them to better support individual students. To change the settings, we need to go to the Options ribbon, where we can change the speech, predictor, and spell check settings. We can change the appearance of the document with display, and we can set up accessibility options. Okay, so now that we've looked at the supportive word processor, we'll now have a look at the smart tabs. So smart tabs are the resources that you can use in DocsPlus, and there are three kinds of smart tab. There are word bars, which provide topic-specific vocabulary for students to access while they're writing. There are workspaces, which are a really nice, simple-to-use mind mapping tool, encouraging students to plan out and develop their ideas before they start a piece of writing. And finally, there's the Doc Reader, which supports students in accessing written text. So we'll have a look at some examples of these, and we'll look at some of the examples from Learning Grids. So as I mentioned earlier, Learning Grids is a bank of free pre-made resources to use in DocsPlus, and it's made up of word bars and workspaces. The Doc Reader you need to set up separately, as you'll need to provide the document for students to access. So to access learning grids, we need to go to the folder icon in the top left of the screen and then choose the Learning Grids tab. Okay, so Learning Grids is the only part of DocsPlus that does require an internet connection because we are downloading these resources from the internet. And currently there are just under 900 resources ready for you to use. Now, this isn't a static list. We're always adding new resources to Learning Grids for you to use. Because there's quite a few to search through, there are a few different ways of making that easier. So the first way is to use the search bar to look for key topic terminology. We can use these checkboxes on the left-hand side to look for a particular resource type, either word bars or workspaces. And we have these resource families. So every resource in Learning Grids is organised into at least one of these categories, which makes it much easier to tell if there are resources on a particular topic area. So for today, we're going to continue our topic of migration. So I'm going to go to the Geography resource family and choose the population category. Okay. So we'll start by looking at a word bar and we'll look at migration, push and pull. So if I want to find out more information about this word bar before I open it, I can click More. I get a larger screenshot and I can also see more information on how this particular word bar works and the kind of vocabulary it's offering. I can then click Open to use it in DocsPlus. So I now have point and click access to key vocabulary on push factors for migration and pull factors for migration. So we have 2 grids of vocabulary in this resource. Some word bars will have more than that, and others will just have 1 grid of key vocabulary on a topic. To use the word bar, we can right-click any words or phrases that we want to hear read out.
Drought. Epidemic. Mechanization.
And left-click to add them into the document where our text cursor is, to use them in our writing. We can edit a word bar by going to the Smart Tab ribbon and clicking Edit. We can then change the vocabulary that's listed in each of the grids in the Words text box, and we can move between the grids in the sidebar on the left-hand side. To save any changes that you have made to a word bar, you'll need to go to the Smart Tab ribbon and click Save. Let's go back into Learning Grids now and have a look at a workspace on the same topic. So I need to go to the folder icon in the top left again and choose the Learning Grids tab. So this takes us back to the same category that we were looking at before. So you can see the original version of my migration, push and pull word bar is still available there. I can re-download it at any time by clicking Open. But I'm going to look at this workspace now. So again, we could click More to find out more information before opening it, but this time I'm just going to open it straight away. Okay, so I now have an outline for my, my workspace, my mind map. We're looking at international migration and we've got push factors and we've got pull factors. I can now add in key vocabulary to my workspace by clicking an empty cell and adding key vocabulary. So we'll put in a few examples now. Perhaps we'll add in one for a pull factor as well. Okay, and this particular workspace has 3 spaces to work in. So we've got this one looking at international migration. We have another looking at rural to urban migration, and finally one for counter-urbanisation. So we can fill in the vocabulary for each of these workspaces in the resource. We can make changes to their appearance. So we can add images by selecting a cell and going to our pictures icon. We can then use the folder icon to look through any images that we've got saved on our PC, or we can take a photo with our webcam. We can change the colour of our workspace if we want to colour code certain vocabulary. And we can change the shape of the cells with the object icon here. We can also add voice notes to our workspaces by going to our object icon and choosing the microphone option in the standard list. So we can drag the microphone onto our workspace and make a recording. To do that, we need to double click the microphone icon and our sound recorder opens just like it did in our documents. So we could work on this workspace, add more vocabulary, perhaps over the course of several lessons, preparing for an extended piece of writing. And now we need to be able to access this vocabulary in our document. So one way we can do that is to use the tabs at the bottom of the screen to move between our document and our workspace. But a lot of students will find it quite difficult to retain the vocabulary and ideas when jumping between the two pages. So another way of accessing this vocabulary in the document is to click this icon here. So we can send it to the document in a few different ways. We can send it as a diagram, which gives us an image of our mind map to refer to while we're writing. We can send it to the document as text, which takes the text content of our workspace and adds it to the document. Or we can choose this icon and choose word bar, or create word bar. And we can then create a word bar using the vocabulary from our workspace. So if we'd fully completed this workspace, we'd have loads of vocabulary on these different topic areas within migration to support our writing in an extended piece of work. So that's word bars and workspaces. Let's now have a look at the doc reader. So as I mentioned earlier, we do need to create the doc reader from scratch. And to do that, we need to click the plus icon down here. So if we wanted to create a word bar or a workspace from scratch, we can do that by selecting one of the options listed here. And you can see we've got templates for workspaces and for word bars. But we're going to create a doc reader. So I've gone to the doc reader tab and I need to select this option here. So this takes me to my file explorer and I can navigate that to find the PDF or the Word document that I want to access using the doc reader. So I'm going to use this past paper here for biology, and this will open up in DocsPlus. So you can see I've now got the cover page of this past paper. To get to the first question, I can either scroll down or I can use this arrow to move to the next page of the document. To use the doc reader, I can highlight the text that I want to hear and then click the speaker icon at the top of the screen.
What is the function of the coronary arteries?
DocsPlus is using the same voice we heard earlier to read that text out for us. And we could be highlighting an individual key word, a whole sentence like we've done here, or a paragraph to listen to that back. If we then need to access the document to write our answers, we can again use the tabs at the bottom of the screen to jump between our doc reader and our document. Or we can use split view. So to use split view, we need to click this icon up here. And this allows us to see both the document in the doc reader and our word processor at the same time. We can still listen to the text by highlighting and clicking the speaker icon.
Large blood vessels in a mammal.
And we can type our answers into the document and see both at the same time. We may want to adjust the view of the document in the doc reader to be able to better see the information being provided. So if students are entitled to access arrangements in an exam, you can use DocsPlus in exams. And to do that, we'll need to disable certain features. You can do this by going to the Options ribbon and choosing Exam Mode. And this is password protected, so students can't make changes to this once it's been set up. Okay, so we've covered quite a range of different resources within DocsPlus now. If you need any reminders on key features, you can access our training resources on our website at cricksoft.com and go to the training section. Make sure to choose DocsPlus. And from here, we have Get Started information, which will guide you through installation and provide a summary of the key features we've looked at today. In tutorials, you can see information and tutorials on each of the features presented individually. In webinars, you can find a recording of this webinar. The training guide is a PDF guide to using DocsPlus, which you can download. You can then keep a digital copy on your PC. You can print it off and make notes on it, or you may want to keep a copy in a staff area for people to access. We do also offer bespoke training, which is tailored to individual schools' needs. If you have any questions after watching this webinar, please do feel free to get in touch. You can give us a call on the office number here. You can email me at training@cricksoft.com, and there's lots of help and advice available on our website. I hope you found this useful. Have a lovely rest of your day.